Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the 6th grade concept of equations for area and volume. This is standard 6.8c in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 3, which is a new item type called hot text, off the Redesign Practice Online STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. Hot text here means that you've got 6 different answer choices here, right? And you can actually just kind of click and drag, and you can use the same answer more than once. So one thing you need to know is that not all answers will be used, and if you only try to answer one of them and then hit next, there will be an error message that says you have not answered one or more part of the question. So this really wants you to answer both parts. All you got to do is drag something out to deselect it, and we're not going to use all parts. So let's open up our graph draw feature, increase the transparency. Let's see what we're asked to do here. We've got a right rectangular prism. We've got our length and our width and our height. Actually, we have our length right here, and we have our height right here, but it looks like the W is just unknown. Okay, that's fine. And then we need to complete each statement about the prism. So we need to move these answers. So we're looking for the area and the volume, but the area of the base of the prism. So the area of the base. So what is the base? That's going to be important for us right here. So when we're talking about the base, we're talking about what it's sitting on, right? So think of the base of something is its very bottom part. So how do we find the area? And when we're looking at area, we should be thinking, you know what, there is an equation for that somewhere. And if you're thinking that, you are correct. I'm going to shrink that down, go to our references right here. So you have access to these references. Let's expand that out. And if you've taken the STAAR test on paper before, this was usually at the beginning of the STAAR test. Now it's something that you can reference on your side here. But look at this area. We're going to look at this. The second one under area says area of a rectangle or parallelogram equals base times height. So at the bottom of that rectangular prism is a rectangle. So we're going to use the base times height. So we need to convert this into base times height. But here's the interesting thing. They give us a length and a width. So we start interchanging different terms, and it can be confusing. So let me draw that base over here. All right, so I'm just going to draw it in a different color, and I'm just going to bring it outside of our rectangular prism. And really, if it wasn't slanted backwards, it would be a rectangle like this, right? So what they give us is they give us this 3 inches, and then they give us this W. But since we're looking at this as just a rectangle, we can also see that as the base and the height. And so when they really think of length times width, you could also view that as base times height. Really, it's a rectangle. There's only going to be 2 different measurements you need. One goes across, one goes up and down. So whether you want to call the across length or base, it doesn't matter. Whether you want to call the up and down the width or the height, it doesn't matter. You're going to take the 2 different measurements on the rectangle and multiply them. So it's going to be the 3 times the W, because that's the only thing you have here. So that's the area of the base. The 3 times the W. So we're not going to do W plus 3. We're going to do the 3 times the W. All right, so let's find the volume. So let's open up our references. Our volume is base times height. Okay, so what is our base? Well, we already know our base, right? So volume equals base times height. We already figured out our base is this 3W, because that's the length times width of the base times height. So we need to multiply this, substituting that right here. So volume is going to be the 3 times the W times that height. Okay, and that height, it happens to be this 8. So we can replace that with the 8, which means our answer is going to be the 8 times 3 times W.